In a world that never stops spinning, where the ticking of clocks rules every breath, and the mind races from thought to thought like a leaf in the wind, there exists a quiet place within us that remains untouched by the noise of time. This place is not found in cities or mountains, nor in words or beliefs. It lies hidden in the silence between our breaths, waiting patiently, lovingly, for us to return. Paramahansa Yogananda, one of the greatest spiritual masters the world has known, called this return the true purpose of life, the inward journey from the surface mind into the depths of the soul. And the vehicle for this sacred journey is meditation. But meditation, as he taught, is not a ritual of sitting cross-legged for a few minutes a day. It is not a technique of calming the nerves or relaxing the muscles. True meditation is the sacred art of becoming who you truly are. Not the body, not the mind, but the eternal, radiant soul within. When a soul, within, incarnates into this world, it dons the garments of time, space, and form. It accepts the limitations of birth and death, of name and personality. But deep within it remembers something, a subtle, unexplainable longing that nothing on earth can satisfy. This is the soul's silent memory of its divine origin. It seeks joy, but not the kind that comes and goes. It seeks love, but not the love that fades with time. It seeks peace, but not the peace that depends on circumstances. It seeks God. Meditation is the bridge between that ancient longing and its eternal fulfillment. Yogananda often said, "Meditation is the tongue of the soul and the language of our spirit." It is not something we remember. It is something we remember. It is something we remember. As a child remembers its mother's lullaby in the arms of sleep, the soul remembers its divine home in the cradle of deep meditation. But this remembrance does not come easily. The world pulls us outward with its glittering temptations, its endless distractions, its cries of urgency. The senses lead us to believe that what we see, hear, touch, and own is real. But the yogi, the seeker, the lover of God, turns the gaze inward. In the sanctuary of silence, he learns to look with the inner eye, to listen with the soul's ears, to feel with the heart of spirit. The beginning of meditation is often humble. The mind chatters, the body aches, thoughts of yesterday and tomorrow drift like clouds across the inner sky. But Yogananda reminds us to persist with love, not force. Meditation is not a battle to be won, but a relationship to be deepened. It is the act of sitting before God, not to demand, not to impress, but simply to be. To sit in stillness is to say to God, "I am ready to listen." Slowly, gently, the waves of thought begin to settle. The breath, once loud and restless, begins to soften. A sacred stillness emerges, not from effort but from surrender. And in that stillness, the first light of the soul begins to shine. This light is not a vision of the eyes, but a perception of the spirit. It may come as peace, as joy, as a sense of vastness beyond form. Yogananda spoke of the spiritual eye, a brilliant halo of blue with a white star at its center, surrounded by a ring of gold. It appears not to the physical sight, but in the inner gaze between the eyebrows. Gazing upon this star is to look into the doorway of infinity. But even more than the visions or sensations, it is the awakening of the soul's own awareness that begins to transform life. To know the soul is to know freedom, not freedom from the world, but freedom within it. The soul is untouched by sorrow, by fear, by death. It is ever new, ever conscious, ever blissful. It is the individualized reflection of God Himself. Yogananda said that just as a wave rises from the ocean, dances for a time, and merges back into its source, so too does the soul arise from spirit. Play its soul arise from spirit, play its role in the world, and eventually long to return. Meditation is that longing fulfilled. As one goes deeper in meditation, the sense of individuality begins to dissolve. The "I" that says, "I am meditating," begins to disappear. What remains is awareness itself, pure, vast, unchanging. In this state, the soul beholds itself, not as body, not as mind, but as light, as joy, as presence. There are moments when the breath stops completely, the heart slows, and a silence more powerful than sound fills the being. These are glimpses of samadhi, the union of the soul with spirit. In such moments, the boundaries of self and world vanish. There is no up or down, no before or after, only the eternal now. And in that now, God reveals Himself. Yogananda described many states of deep realization, but always emphasized that the path is personal, intimate, unique. For some, the soul speaks through light, for others through sound or bliss or a feeling of deep love. There is no right or wrong experience, only the sincerity of heart that draws God near. He taught that God is not impersonal force, but a loving Father, a divine Mother, a friend closer than breath. In meditation, when the soul begins to shine, it calls out, not in words, but in yearning, and God answers, sometimes in silence, sometimes in tears, sometimes in overwhelming bliss. This is the real goal of meditation. Not altered states, not spiritual powers, but communion. The soul conversing with its source. But this journey is not without its challenges. The ego resists surrender. It fears losing control, forgetting that in letting go we find our true strength. The body demands comfort, the mind demands stimulation. Doubts creep in, dry periods come when the light seems far away. Yet Yogananda always reminded his disciples, a saint is a sinner who never gave up. The soul is never far. It is only hidden behind the clouds of restlessness. Meditation is the act of turning toward the sun again and again until the clouds dissolve. Every moment of stillness, every effort to focus, every prayer of love adds to the soul's awakening. The journey from meditation to the soul is not a straight line, but a spiral. Sometimes we rise, sometimes we fall. But every moment we are drawing closer. Even the struggles are sacred. They purify. They humble. They prepare the soul to receive more light. There are days when the soul weeps in longing and God feels distant. But Yogananda said, those are the moments when God is closest, testing our love, deepening our faith. He longs for us as much as we long for Him. The soul is not seeking God alone. God is seeking the soul, and in the stillness of deep meditation, they meet. To meditate is to remember that you are not this fleeting personality. You are eternal. Before you were born, you were. After the body dies, you remain. The soul has no age, no nationality, no gender. It is pure being. In meditation, when the breath slows and the thoughts cease, you feel it, not as something new, but as something ancient and true. You remember that you are light, that you are joy, that you are not separate from the infinite, and this remembrance is liberation. Yogananda often guided his disciples to practice the presence of God. This means not just meditating at one time of day, but living in the awareness of the soul throughout all activities. To feel the divine behind every face, to hear His whisper in every sound, to carry His peace into every moment. The awakened soul does not retreat from the world. It transforms the world by its presence. A true yogi is not one who hides from life, but one who brings God into every part of life. Work becomes worship. Silence becomes song. Life becomes a sacred play. And yet the greatest miracle is not what we see in meditation, but what we become. The angry become kind. The fearful become strong. The restless becomes still. The soul, once awakened, changes the entire personality. It fills the heart with compassion, the mind with clarity, the body with energy. Divine qualities begin to blossom: patience, humility, inner joy, unconditional love. We no longer react to life, we respond with wisdom. We no longer seek happiness, we radiate it. The soul does not belong to any religion. It is the common truth of all beings. Whether we call God Krishna, Christ, Allah, or simply love, the soul responds to sincerity. Yogananda respected all paths that led to truth, but emphasized that each person must walk their own inner path. Meditation is the universal doorway. Beyond rituals, beyond dogmas, it is the direct experience of the soul, and once touched, even for a moment, life can never be the same. He gave the world the sacred technique of Kriya Yoga, a powerful method to accelerate the soul's evolution. But more than technique, he gave the spirit, the fire of love for God, the example of a life lived in divine remembrance. He showed us that the soul is not an idea to believe in, but a reality to experience. That heaven is not a place in the sky, but a state of consciousness available now. That through meditation, each of us can find our eternal identity. Many seek miracles, signs, visions, powers, but Yogananda said, the greatest miracle is to know yourself. To sit in meditation and feel, I am not this fear, not this desire, not this pain. I am the soul. That realization, however fleeting, begins to reshape your destiny. The world may remain the same, but your experience of it changes. You walk lighter. You smile deeper. You trust more. Deeper. You trust more. Because you are anchored not in the changing, but in the changeless, not in the form, but in the spirit. Meditation is not the end, it is the beginning. It opens the door, but it is the soul that walks through. And the more we walk this path, the more we become transparent to God's light. We become instruments of His love, channels of His peace. The soul does not need to preach. Its presence heals, its silence teaches, its joy uplifts. And in time, others begin to see that light in you, not as something you do, but as something you are. This is the true purpose of life, not just to exist, but to shine. In the final moments of life, when the body grows still and the breath fades, what will remain is the soul. Not the name, not the rules, not the memories, only the light you carried within. And in that moment, if you have meditated deeply, loved sincerely, served humbly, the soul will rise with wings of light. It will recognize the divine not as a stranger, but as the beloved it has known all along. Death will not be an end, but a homecoming. The soul will whisper, "I have returned," and the infinite will reply, "You were never apart." So let us begin now. Let every breath be a prayer. Let every thought be a step inward. Let every silence be an invitation. Let us meditate, not to escape, but to remember. Not to become something more, but to realize what we have always been. The soul is waiting, and God is calling. In the stillness of your own heart, the meeting is already prepared. All that remains is to go there, to sit, to listen, to love. From meditation to the soul, it is not a journey of miles, but a return to your own truth. The most beautiful part is, you are never far. You are the soul. You are light. You are one with the infinite.